Mars Station 12 was busy and loud, full of humans and aliens trading goods. But one loud argument stopped everything. A tall blue alien named Commander Rourke pushed a human woman during a fight over trade. She hit a metal post and fell. The market went silent. No one helped. Then someone whispered, "That's Captain Rourke's wife." People froze. Captain Rourke was close, known across space for beating a Vorgan fleet alone. He was feared. Rourke didn't know who she was. He didn't know what he had done. But everyone else did, and they knew what was coming. Captain Rourke was in the station's lower sector when the silent alert reached him. He was eating alone, quiet, calm. Then he saw the video. Sarah falling, Rourke towering over her. He didn't move at first, just stared. His eyes, once tired from years of war, turned cold. He stood up slowly. The table shook slightly as he pushed it aside. He didn't run. He didn't yell. He walked like a machine with one purpose. The guards at the security gate tried to stop him. "Captain, please, let protocol handle it." He said nothing and kept walking. His neural implant glowed faint blue. The sensors picked up a strange change. His heart rate dropped, breathing steady, brain activity sharpening. One guard stepped back. He's not angry. He's preparing. In the market, Rourke laughed with other aliens, still thinking he'd won. He had no idea that death was moving toward him, one step at a time. Rourke turned just in time to see a human fist crash into his face. The punch was so strong it lifted him off the ground and threw him through a metal vendor table. Tools and food spilled everywhere. Sparks flew. The market screamed into chaos. Rourke didn't get up. Blood ran from his mouth. Rourke stood over him, calm, breathing steady. His eyes were locked, cold and sharp like steel. Security rushed in with weapons raised but didn't fire. No one moved. Rourke looked at the station commander and said in a quiet, steady voice, "You let this happen. Now I'm going to end it." The commander tried to speak, but nothing came out. Rourke turned and walked away like nothing had happened. Rourke's second in command, watching from a corner, quickly tapped a hidden device under his sleeve. A red signal blinked once. Across the stars, something ancient and dangerous heard it. The war call had been sent. Far from Mars Station 12, deep in Vorgan space, an old warship floated in silence. Inside, General Cruveth, Rourke's father, sat in his dark command chamber. The red signal blinked on his console. He stared at it for a long moment, then smiled slowly. It wasn't just a distress call. It was a challenge. A human had hurt his blood. The Vorgan Empire hadn't forgotten their loss during the last war. And now, a perfect excuse had arrived. "Prepare the fleet," he said. "We burn Mars Station 12 to ash." The Vorgan ships were still days away, but Earth Command already felt the weight of war pressing down. The president of Earth herself called Captain Rourke through a private line. Her voice was sharp. "You hit a diplomat, Captain. Now their whole fleet is moving. Fix this before we all burn." Rourke didn't apologize. He only asked for one thing. "Give me full control of Mars Station 12. No generals, no red tape, just me." After a pause, she agreed. "You get one shot. Don't miss." Rourke walked through the broken market again. People watched him from shadows, whispering his name. He stopped at the wall where Rourke had shoved Sarah and pulled out his blade. Slowly, he carved 5 words into the metal with steady hands. "You hit the wrong woman." The message was simple, direct, and deadly. The station's AI captured the image and sent it to every major channel in the galaxy. Within hours, the message reached Vorgan space. General Cruveth watched it, his smile fading. Behind him, his officers stood silent. One whispered, "This human, he's not afraid." The general crushed the data tablet in his hand and said, "Then let him die afraid." But deep in his chest, the first seed of doubt began to grow. Back on the station, Sarah lay in the medical wing. Her face was bruised, her eyes swollen, but she held Rourke's hand and whispered, "You didn't have to hit him that hard." Rourke looked at her and said, "I hit him softer than he hit you." Outside, Earth Command picked up strange movements in space. 5 Vorgan warships, changing direction, heading straight for Mars. The station commander tried to contact them. No response. Rourke stood watching the stars from the observation deck. He didn't blink. He whispered to himself, "They're coming." Good. Mars Station 12 changed overnight. Under Rourke's command, everything tightened. Civilian ships were grounded. Energy shields were upgraded. The old defense drones, once forgotten in storage, were reactivated and reprogrammed for war. He didn't wait for Earth reinforcements. He knew they wouldn't come fast enough. Instead, he walked into the darkest parts of the station, the deep levels where retired war veterans lived in silence. He found them one by one. Snipers, engineers, pilots, old warriors with scars and shaky hands. "One more fight," he told them. "You in?" No one said no. Back in orbit, satellites caught the first flash of light. The Vorgan fleet had entered Mars space. 5 massive warships, each one bigger than the station itself. Inside, General Cravath sat in his throne-like chair and sent a message to the station. It was short and brutal. "Surrender the human named Rourke, or we destroy everything." The message was broadcast station-wide. Everyone waited for Rourke's answer. He stepped into the control tower, looked into the camera, and said just 6 words. "Come and take me, coward king." The transmission ended. The war officially began. The first Vorgan attack came without warning. A bright blue beam slammed into Mars Station 12's outer shields, lighting up the sky like a second sun. People screamed. Alarms howled. But the shields held for now. Inside the control center, Rourke didn't flinch. He watched every movement on the screens, calm and focused. "They're testing us," he said. "Let them." In the hangars, the old veterans suited up. Some wore patched armor from wars long past. Others carried weapons outlawed for decades. But none hesitated. One old sniper, missing an eye, looked at his rifle and whispered, "Last time, old girl." The station became a fortress. Trapdoors opened. Pulse cannons rose from hidden panels. Defense drones hovered in perfect formation. Rourke had turned a trade post into a war machine. But the Vorgan ships weren't done. They launched smaller fighters next, fast, deadly machines designed to cripple defenses. They came like a swarm of angry insects. Rourke gave one command: "Wait." His people watched the radar as the swarm got closer, closer. Then, now, the sky lit up as hundreds of defense drones activated at once, blasting the enemy fighters out of the sky in synchronized bursts. But as the last drone fired, one enemy ship broke through, speeding toward the station's heart. It wasn't just an attack. It was a boarding party. And Rourke knew they weren't coming for the station. They were coming for Sarah. The enemy boarding craft crashed into the outer ring of Mars Station 12 with a thunderous blast, tearing through steel like paper. Alarms screamed as flames and smoke flooded the halls. Civilians ran for shelter while Rourke raced toward the medical wing, heart cold and steady. He didn't care about the rest of the station. If they got to Sarah, everything was lost. Inside the dark corridors, the Vorgan soldiers moved fast, tall, armored beasts with glowing visors and clawed weapons. But they didn't expect resistance, not from an old engineer with shaky hands who dropped explosives behind fuel pipes, not from a medic who used a fire axe like a war hammer. Every hallway became a trap. Every turn was a battlefield. Rourke reached the med bay just as the door blew open. 3 Vorgan soldiers stepped through, weapons ready. Sarah tried to shield herself, too weak to stand. But Rourke was already there. He moved faster than any of them could react. One shot, one knife, one broken neck. In seconds, the room fell silent, bodies on the floor. He held Sarah close, breathing hard. She whispered, "They won't stop." Rourke didn't answer. He carried her out as the med bay burned behind them. On the other side of the station, the Vorgan commander sent a message back to General Cravath. "We failed. He's still alive." Cravath stared at the report, fists clenched. Then he gave the order no Vorgan had given in 50 years. "Prepare the planet killer." The war was no longer about pride. It was about wiping Rourke from existence, no matter what burned with him. The skies above Mars Station 12 darkened as the first planet killer weapon moved into position. It was a massive, ancient machine, older than most stars, powered by energy no human had ever seen. The ground trembled beneath the station. Inside the command deck, Rourke stared at the incoming threat. His face was tired, but his eyes burned with fire. Days after the planet killer's destruction, Mars Station 12 was still scared but alive. The Vorgan fleet, shaken and leaderless, began to retreat into the darkness of space. But Captain Rourke knew this was only the start. War had awakened old enemies and new threats. In the station's quiet hall, Sarah stood beside Rourke as he looked out at the stars. "They'll come back," she said softly. "Stronger, angrier." Rourke nodded, his eyes steady and strong. "Then we'll be ready. Together." He turned and walked toward the command center, where the veterans prepared for what was next. The galaxy was watching. Humans had shown they were not weak. They were fighters, defenders, and as long as Rourke and his team stood, no one would forget. Humans don't back down. They fight. The message spread across star systems, a promise and a warning. The war had begun, but so had a legend. The end. "Everyone, listen up," he said. "This isn't just a battle for the station. It's a battle for our future. We either stop that weapon, or everything we've built dies today." The veterans nodded, loading weapons and checking systems. Sarah, weak but determined, stood beside him. "We fight, or we disappear," she said quietly. Rourke made a plan. The defense drones would keep the Vorgan fleet busy, while a small team of elite fighters would sneak onto the planet killer ship to destroy it from inside. He volunteered to lead the team. As the fighters launched into the dark sky, the station shook violently. The planet killer fired a massive beam toward the station's core. The shields faltered. Time was running out. The team raced through enemy defenses, fighting every step. Inside the weapon's heart, Rourke found the control core glowing bright and deadly. With a deep breath, he plunged his blade into the core. The machine shuddered, sparks flying. Outside, the weapon exploded in a fireball that lit the sky for miles. Back on the station, the crew cheered. The war was far from over, but the impossible had been done. Rourke looked at Sarah and said, "This fight isn't just ours, it's humanity's, and we won't back down."